Just keep our fingers crossed. Yay.
Do it. What do you say? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. How is everyone today? Nice to see you all.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Martha's got no glasses. Look at you. I'm so happy for you.
Well, I don't have my glasses, but right now I'm currently in one eyeglass and one is empty.
Ooh,
so
interesting. So
because I had one eye surgery and then the next one tomorrow. So yeah, it's pretty funny, but I can see well enough to be on camera. Yay!
Well, yeah. I'm probably stoked about not having those glasses, so I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh.
Like the bane of your existence.
Yeah. And anyway, happy Tuesday, and we have our buddy Riley.
Yay. We do. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on.
Returning.
We are so happy to have you back, Riley. And for those new listeners, returning listeners, welcome back to Fight Club. We are the show for home service business owners looking to improve their marketing, finances, systems, and culture. And this week we get to be joined by probably one of our youngest guests, I would have to say. If I had to put the finger on, maybe. I don't know. I can't figure out. I think one of our youngest guests, but Riley Pototschnik, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being back.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got some new stuff to talk about with you. So
yes,
I'll kind of let you take over for a little bit and tell the audience about yourself.
Yeah. So, as you know already, my name's Riley. I've been building websites for probably the last few years. But now I have recently started a product called EveryChat. And this is my new product, my new project. It's pretty much taken up all of my time at this point. The product is what I am trying to build is a one inbox for the business. So your emails, your text messages, your Facebook messages, automated website chat. So you aren't the one having to sit behind the computer and type back to people as they expect a 30-second response. That's what the product is doing right now, paired with automations and, some AI. The product is to help you better manage your incoming messages so you can rock your customer service and marketing. That's the thing that's taken up a lot of my time right now. And that's the project that I'm working on and that we may talk a little bit more about in this show here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming back on the show, Riley, and thanks for giving that introduction to our listeners. I'm excited. I know I'm excited to talk to you, and I'm sure Michelle's systems brains are going and Martha's people side of things is gearing up. But as far as my introduction, my name's Taylor Maroney. I actually co-own a power washing paper sealing company with my husband in South Florida, and my background's in marketing. So designed websites once and never went back. That was not my favorite thing to do. So I give you a lot of credit for that, Riley. But as far as what I help business owners do, it's really kind of look at numbers and marketing, understand what those numbers really mean, how to evaluate them, then how to make better decisions based upon that. So super excited to be with you guys today, and welcome back to Fight Club.
And we miss Meg, so she would normally go next, but I'm Michelle, and I co-own Pink Collars, and we put remote CSRs, admins, office managers, dispatchers, all those people that run the back office and are the front face of your company remotely. And then I also co-own a floor coatings company location here in Loudoun County, Virginia, with my amazing husband, Doug. So I'm in the service business too. And Secret Weapon Riley has helped me build at least 3 websites. I think we are at right now. We've done a lot of work. So we've done a lot of work in the background together, and he has saved me from many a website snafu. So I'm excited to have you on the show, Riley. Thanks so much for coming by.
All right. Yeah, we'll probably be on time today since Megan is here giving her 3 choices and then doing all 3. She'll probably listen to this later, so that's all right. So my name's Martha Woodward, and I owned a residential cleaning business for 13 years in a neighboring state. And I just like to help people with their culture, building happier workplaces. And I co-founded Quality Driven Software, which is all about employee performance and recognition. So anyway, welcome to Fight Club. And Riley, you just got back from a pretty epic vacation.
Yes, I did. Yeah, we went to London. Part of this, it was in many ways my very delayed graduation trip from would have been, I guess, high school, but at this point, I would have been 3 years through college at this point. So
Uh-huh.
very delayed. But it was a ton of fun. I love cars. I love racing. So there was a festival called the Goodwood Festival of Speed. All of the biggest car manufacturers and racing and sports cars, they were there. But we also had a chance to go explore London and explore the things around there. So it was a great trip. And we saw where my grandpa was born in Cornwall. It's a fun trip. Got to see a lot of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think there was somewhere you were visiting that one of your granddad's pictures, paintings was there, right?
Yep. Yeah. In St. Ives, if you can picture the area, it's a beach. You're kind of on the ocean. You have homes going up the hill. There's a little bar at the very bottom of, I'm going to call it a hill. It was more like a mountain size, but anyway, there's a little bar at the bottom, and it's where a lot of people would frequent. In my grandpa's dad, he would frequent there, and at one point they had all of their frequent people come in and they would draw a picture of them. And his picture was up on the wall along with all the other people who would frequent there. So we went to that bar and we saw the picture that was drawn of him. So we kind of saw what life was like back then. We saw where my grandpa grew up, the house he grew up in. So we saw a lot of things.
Well, we have to get to official business, but I do have to say really quick, I was with your dad once at this rural, it's called Post Oak Lodge. It's like in the middle of nowhere outside of Tulsa. And we were in one of the lodges and in the lobby area, and one of your grandpa's paintings was in that lobby. And your dad stumbled upon it, and we were that's crazy. That's awesome. So he must be all over if he's in rural Tulsa.
Yeah. I guess so. One last comment there before we do jump into the business stuff. We were on some vacation outside of the country, and we were just kind of walking through galleries. And we stumbled upon this gallery where the owners of that gallery turned out to, I forget, maybe they had a picture of his behind the counter. But somehow we figured out that they have been longtime buyers of his artwork back since when he got started. So there's just little instances like that where you kind of see the reach that he's created in his business that we just, from the outside, you wouldn't expect. You would think he's kind of a local artist. He does national, he ships paintings nationally, but you wouldn't just expect that just maybe talking to him.
Yeah. Well, Tay, maybe you're going to have to find out how artsy Riley is.
I know. It sounds like it runs in the family.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have some level of artistic, background in nature to do website side of things, because there's that design aspect to it. Obviously there's the functionality and the coding, and that's all the stuff that I absolutely hated. And Martha, I've talked to Martha about that before, but it's cool to see the creative brain and how it does really adapt to different types of ways. And it looks like you've really taken it into the software world now, which is kind of cool to see. But what I want to talk to you about, Riley, is really you worked in the marketing aspect, right? In a sense, you were in the website design world for a very long time. And moving from that world into EveryChat at this point, what did you bring with you? What was kind of the marketing side of things that you brought with you into that world? Because it definitely is a need. We need the ability to respond to these messages in an easy format. Michelle talks about this all the time. And it sounds like you really did kind of pull some of that from the previous marketing experience. So can you kind of talk about what really drove you in that direction?
Yeah. And it really worked out in a fortunate way where I started with websites. It wasn't a long-term plan where I was going to start with websites, learn everything I can, and then get into software. It just kind of happened this way. But I think it really was a good thing that happened, because I learned a lot about, what does what does the person viewing the website need in order for you to have the best chance of getting their contact information? And one of the things that I would often teach and that I often saw was, when somebody's coming to your website, if they don't have an easy way of reaching out, there's a lot of friction in getting that contact information. So this is kind of where the first generation of Every Chat came from. It was originally called Schedule Talk, where it was just a texting software. You just had text going in and out. You had a little bit of automation. But the reason why I built that was, everybody's texting nowadays. It's super easy for us to pick up our phone, maybe dial a phone number. You don't even have to do that nowadays, and then write a short little message, and then you've got a lead. So, when you put yourself in the visitor's mind, in your customer's mind, and you kind of see that, okay, not a lot of people want to call you, or maybe they don't have time to call you in that instant. So what often happens is they put you on a to-do list. They say they're gonna come back to you later, but what happens is that to-do item of calling you falls further and further down the list as they have more and more things come up throughout the day. So then when you look at email, we use email. It's easy to fill out a form on your website. There's no issue there. But where you often run an issue that you run into is, if you just have their email, is it easy for you to follow up with them and get in touch with them? And if you're, a lot of these residential customers, us as business owners, we are always on our email. So it's hard for us to imagine a person who isn't always looking at their email. But a lot of these residential customers who, just maybe have regular jobs, they're just they're doing their thing. They're going to be on their phone all the time on social media. They're going to be texting their friends and family, and they may not always look at their email. So when it comes time for you to follow up with them and, try and get the ball rolling and get them to potentially become a customer, or, maybe you're trying to do upsells, it's really hard for you to make that connection and keep the conversation going.
It is. I feel like that's an area of friction too, right? Like that adds more friction to the buying process and even just the lead generation process that we're talking about right now. And in looking at where the world's going, it's funny when you're talking about picking up the phone and calling, I think of Martha. Like Martha will not, she's not going to pick up the phone and call you for a business. Like if she doesn't have an easy way of getting in contact with you, forget it. Like if it involves picking up the phone, like you just lost her business. And then if it's only email, I think of my mom, because my mom doesn't have she has an email. She has like an iCloud for her iPhone, but like she doesn't use it. She never goes on it. She's very much a pick up the phone, call you kind of person versus where Martha's the opposite. And she's very much I'm going to text you or live chat or some quick way of getting in contact with you, or it gets on her to-do. It'll never actually get on her to-do list. I shouldn't say that. Only her dentist gets on her to-do list to call, but it's crazy to see how the world's moving that way. And it's only going to continue to be more of that like Amazon feel. I've talked about this before on the show. It's that instant gratification, right? People want to get into contact with their potential service industry, experts, but do it quickly and be able to have that off their plate in 5 minutes kind of or less realistically. So how are you guys kind of looking at that lead generation aspect of it? Because now it's only going to want to get faster. People are only going to want that information sooner.
Yeah. And, this is where we can start talking about AI. Now, the big question that comes up is AI ready, or will businesses trust it at this point in time to basically respond to all of their messages automatically? Because you are taking in some form of risk, because, if for anybody who's been using ChatGPT up until this point, you will have likely noticed that sometimes ChatGPT can just give you completely bogus answers. It is not 100% all the time. Now, if you train ChatGPT or OpenAI based on your data, it will get a lot better. But there's that question of, because AI is still very early on, there are so many benefits that you're going to get from it. But just from listening to people and just from what I've seen, there is some hesitation adopting it completely and letting it essentially take the reins of, say, replacing a customer service team and doing all the work that way. So, That isn't to say that there won't be a lot of value from it, because there will be. But what every chat is trying to do, at least here in the early phase, before it starts, implementing more AI into the automation part of it, is using automation, just basic automation to collect the information that you need. So, regardless of, let's take it from a texting example. You put a phone number on your website for them to text, or maybe you're putting a phone number on your door hangers or your company vehicles for them to text, because those are places where it's tough to get them to reach out to you. There's so many distractions going on, especially on social media. What often happens is, if you just say, hey, text this number, you may get an I'm interested text. And that is really difficult for the business, because they don't know their name. They have no idea what they're interested in. So it takes a lot of manpower on the business's end to try and get that conversation in a position where it's really, it's effective for the business. They have something to work from. Right. So this is where a product like EveryChat, you can do texting from your phone, but you don't have the automation piece of it, where you can essentially tell it, okay, once a new lead comes in, I want it to ask for their name. I want to get their email. I want to get what service they're interested in. So it's almost holding a conversation with that lead or that customer to collect the valuable information that you need before you or your team has to get into the conversation. So that's a little bit to your point, where how do you give them the value first? Or how do you give them the value the fastest? And there's a creative jumping off point that I've been talking to Megan a little bit about, of can you plug this into Responsibid to generate a price automatically? And that's something that I'm working on right now. Hopefully I'll have a demo by the huge convention here.
That sounds exciting.
But that's kind of where you're working on. Just like you were saying, how can you give them that answer the fastest? Because once they have that answer, then they're ready to take that conversation further and maybe talk about scheduling the job. The more time that goes on between them reaching out to you and then you finally contacting them, or them getting the quote, that's more time that they've had to potentially research other competitors and maybe make another decision and go somewhere else. So speed is really key when it comes to generating leads, hiring, you name it. The faster you can get them to that point where you're asking them for a yes or no, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And you said it perfectly. It's in the beginning, we were talking about the friction, right? We're talking about reducing that friction when someone lands on your website as a service business owner. And we're doing that by giving them options and quick options to get into contact with you. But what we're also reducing now is that potential of them having that 5, 10, 15-minute window to look for another company because you haven't answered fast enough. So that's where the automation that you're talking about from EveryChat's really allowing you as the business owner to be generating leads and not even knowing it. Like, doesn't that sound beautiful? I mean, it's beautiful, and it's very, and Responsibid, same thing. Like when you get this connected, that's going to be, a powerhouse. That's going to be so awesome to see. Yeah. And I'm getting close into the systems realm. So I'm going to let Michelle take over, because I can see her geeking out over this. And I think it's amazing. Just the ability that the fact that you've reduced the friction, you've created a quick time frame, and now we're putting leads into the system that the business owner isn't even having to put effort into, which is fantastic. Or even the admin team or the sales team, whoever's in charge of it at the moment. That's huge. So thank you for talking about the marketing side of it with me, Riley, and I will let Michelle take over.
I love that you were talking about speed. It's something that we're really working on at Pink Collars. I was actually on a podcast yesterday with Tom Reber, and his famous quote is, "Time kills deals." And I love it because it's a good synopsis of everything that you need to know about business ownership. Is time kills deals. It just does. It kills the deal with an employee. It kills the deal with a potential client. So time is our enemy, and we got to be able to use any of these tools to help us. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Okay. Talk to us about the platform and how can it integrate? You alluded to Responsibid. Do you have any other places where it's integrating currently, where people could kind of think about where it could go in their business?
Sure. So as far as, we'll say, one-on-one custom integrations, that's something I'm still working on. However, the first step that I've taken was integrating it with Zapier. So now it pretty much integrates with most platforms. Of course, that requires an account with Zapier in order for you to use it. But that opens the door to at least those people who want to use Zapier can get it plugged into, whatever product is on Zapier. I think what is it, like 5,000 different products they have now.
So many.
So
many.
It's a great way to get started here. But then things like Responsibid, or I'm in talks with some other products, more one-on-one integrations, those will be added over time. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So it'll integrate into CRMs based on their happiness with Zapier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I think one of the friction points I've seen in businesses is that live chat can be a little wild, right? Sometimes live chat is for the HR department. Sometimes live chat is for the sales department. Sometimes live chat is for the business owner, right? There's all these people that kind of have to manage it. Tell me how, in a business that you've seen, how can people manage kind of all those hands in the cookie jar, right? In a platform like yours? And how do you see AI kind of simplifying that kind of messiness a little bit?
Yeah. So at the moment, every chat has taken what I'll call a simplistic approach, at least to get us started here. And then you build in little pieces to maybe route messages to the right department.
Sure.
But we'll take the website chat, for example. So one of the first questions that the automated website chat asks is what's the topic that you're reaching out to us about? Do they need a quote? Do they have a customer service request? Have they had a bad experience with the job? And that alone right there, that piece of information can help route that message. And over time, something I'm working on is, message tagging, message folders. So as that gets added in, you can take that website chat message and route it to the right folder. And in every chat, you can have your team you can add your team to every chat, and you can assign people to those conversations. So right now I've built it around teamwork in many ways. So, you and your team, you're going to be in the inbox, but maybe you run across a message that isn't really in your ballpark. It's not something that you're going to be replying to or that you have the answers for. So what that team member could do is say, I want to assign this conversation to Julie, who is, more of our customer service rep. And now she gets an email, hey, there's a conversation I need to attend to. And I need to approve. So right now it's built around teamwork and kind of sharing the conversations, that over time, getting to your AI part, AI can do the routing for you. AI can be the one that says, okay, this is more of a customer service intent message. This message is more around, they need a quote. They're looking to potentially schedule a job. And maybe something I was talking about talking to Tay about behind the scenes is for, really anything actually. AI can help give you, again, I'm going to use that happiness score, where you can tell, okay, is this customer angry? Do we need somebody who's good working with potentially frustrated people? And it can have a little smiley face or frowny face next to each conversation, letting them know what's the intent, what's the current, we'll call it satisfaction score of that conversation. So you make decisions based on that.
And is the AI, forgive me for veering off, but is the AI able to understand tonality and anxiety within the person's vocal range? How is AI picking up on that to be able to decide where they are in the scale? Is that happening?
So many years ago, I played around, and you don't have to know what this is, but I played around with something called IBM Watson. This is one of the big AI systems coming from IBM. Okay. And from the very beginning, they were marketing that tool as again, forgot the word for it, happiness score rater. So it was being able to tell, okay, what's the tonality? What's the again, happiness score of this person? And it was rating it based on how they wrote that message. I think they may have had capabilities for voice. I don't remember. Most of it was text, but it was able to do that. So yes, ChatGPT, if you have to tell it a little bit more about what to do. So, hey, tell me the intent, or tell me how this person is feeling based on this message. And for a software product like me, what I'm going to need from that is, okay, what are some easy ways that I can rank that score? So maybe give me a ranking between 1 and 10. So you kind of have to tell it, okay, what's the best way it should explain this to you? And then it can tell you, okay, they are 10 represents angry, or we'll say 10 represents happy, 1 represents angry, and then it can give you a rating based on that. Yeah, these products can do that already. It's just a matter of plugging them in.
That's so cool. I might have been stuck in the matrix yesterday on Bonvoy's live chat, or Bonvoy, like Marriott's website. I had inadvertently like booked like 10 days instead of 2 days. Like I made some really stupid mistake, and I got charged this exorbitant amount for, staying somewhere that I didn't need to be there for that long. So of course I needed to fix it. And the live chat was really clunky. I couldn't like kind of get to where I was trying to go. So I went to the phone, and my husband, Doug, was sitting there listening to me struggling with the AI, at least from the customer service perspective. And I could tell that that's what was happening. I was like going through the levels of the AI. And I think there's a lot of improvement before they can really take a hold of what a complex problem, like maybe what I had was, like I booked too many days and I just need to fix the reservation. It won't allow me to because it's too soon online. But the refrain that I kept getting was, go back to the website, right? They were trying to like force me back to the website. And I'm like, I'm kind of a techie person. I've already tried that, and I'm not a total ding dong here. Live chat. So this is like my 3rd attempt. But when I finally did get to a human, it was fine. But it was a little bit troubling to spend, 20 or 30 minutes probably trying to use all the online tools and couldn't get them to really work. So I'm watching for improvements every day, just from my perspective, because I want to add that obviously to our offer at Pink Collars, because I think that human component is still so crucial.
100%.
I just think that any of these tools are going to empower our people, not replace them. And that's the thing that I'm seeing,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think especially right now, you've seen this. AI is in a tough spot where it's super good as we're using it, but then you encounter these situations that like it gives you a bogus answer, or it just takes you in some direction, or maybe it just continues to tell you, hey, I don't have the answer for this, or go visit our website, I can't help you with this. And that diminishes our trust in it. And this is where I feel like, just based on talking to some people, this is where a lot of people hesitate in the idea of, let's go ahead and plug in our AI system into our customer service side and just depend on it to answer everything. It feels like it's right there on the edge of being able to do that, but there are just some kinks that, say OpenAI or Google needs to work out before we can really depend on it. And I will say that's why EveryChat's been a little bit slow to completely adopt AI and plug it into the messaging side. However, where you are going to see an incredible amount of value is plugging it into the back end to help you with the systems. So as we talked about, that happiness score, helping you, one of the things I've talked about with somebody is, maybe you get an angry message in from a customer, and they're frustrated, and you feel that as well. Now you're frustrated and you're typing your reply. What AI could do is tell you, hey, your reply is sounding pretty angry here. And once you click that send button, it says, be careful. This message could be taken the wrong way when you send it to the customer. So it's almost like a built-in protection to
I like that.
those people, or maybe your emotions getting in the way in sending a bad response. It can help you from just trying to understand how well maybe your customer service team is doing as well. Maybe you can take the messages that they've sent or received and see, okay, how many times are these messages reaching a successful end? How many times are they getting to that conclusion that customer was looking for? Maybe they had trouble with their irrigation system, or maybe they came home and found something wasn't quite right after the cleaning team came through. Or maybe they just need to get something booked for the next week before, say, the holidays or something. Maybe those AI systems can come through and maybe calculate scores based on your team, and you can make decision, how well are things going inside the business? How many messages are being replied to? How fast are they generally replied to? So you have basically a health score within your business. So you can make educated decisions and make decisions based on the data that it's giving you. So this is where AI can really plug into your systems and be something really cool and really helpful. And that's kind of where EveryChat is working on right now.
I love that. That sounds so good. Okay, I'm going to pass you off to Martha in just a second, but shout out really quick to everybody who's going to the huge convention next week. I know Riley's going to be there. Martha's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're going to miss you, Tay. And I think that even Megan might be there in a way. I'm not sure. So anybody who wants to see us, hang out with us, say hi to us, please make sure to ping us in some way, either on Facebook or by text, and grab somebody, because we would love to hang out with everybody while we're there in Nashville. I'm bringing my ops manager and her whole family, and then I'm also bringing my whole family. So it's like a huge parade of Pink Collars peeps are coming. So I'm excited. We're going to have a good time. So thank you, Riley. That was super helpful. I'll pass you on to Martha.
Alrighty.
Michelle, you're bringing those kids so they can schlep all your stuff through the Gaylord.
I have no stuff this time. I came home from Las Vegas last week with 4 suitcases by myself. No, but this time I literally have nothing. I'm just going on stage. I have nothing. I have no big schlepping, I promise.
Hey, I tried to bring that suitcase.
I know, it was a lot. No, it was fine. My sweet daughter
No,
came.
I'm kidding, because Gaylord is where the huge convention is.
Oh,
it's like a cruise ship.
Cruise ship parked at the dock in Nashville. That's what I call it. It's huge. So no pun intended. When you get there, just make sure you have your good tennis shoes on, because your room will be 20 minutes away.
Yeah. I will say I wasn't able to get a room in the hotel. I booked it too late. So I am just across the street. And, just being across the street, it's 11-minute walk across the building and make it to the front door. I'm sure just from that, it sounds like a huge place.
And then another 25 minutes to the conference center. So
yeah.
We all thought maybe roller skates would be a good idea for this next time.
Yeah.
Or those little mini
Segway things. Yeah. Good. Well, Michelle, I got in an AI chat like you, and I ended up doing representative, and then the AI said something like, basically, are you sure? I can help you. And I was like, in caps, representative, exclamation point. So
you feel like I'm typing this right now.
Oh yeah. I was like, but something I'd never thought about before when you were talking with Tay is, when I go and fill out a contact us form, and it's, you put in your name and your email address, as the millennial or Gen Z customer that I am,
here we go.
I am like, well, all right, I'll hear from you in 24 or 48 hours. And that drives me insane. So I absolutely do like either live chat or text, because I feel like I'll get an answer. And I guess I would almost have to say I like live chat more, just because I feel like with text, it may be like more automated, and that they're not going to get back to me as fast as live chat, but definitely email. When I see that my way to contact them is email, even though as a business owner, I'm on email a lot, I still feel like when you put in email, you're going to be in a hole. So, but I'd never thought about that before. And I'm laughing as I say this, because quality driven, you go and put in your email. However, during business hours, we're almost like a live chat. So we're very good about it. But I really didn't think about the psychology of that, because now, like I say, I do feel like we pleasantly surprise people with our response time. But the psychology of that is, when I go and put that in, I think I'm not going to, I think in my head, well, I got to move on to something else. And like, if I was trying to purchase something or whatever, I might not even fill out that form, because I would think I want to talk to you today,
Yeah.
now, and you're not making it easy, and I do not want to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a sales pitch. I just want information so I can make my decision.
Mhm.
So anyway, but yeah, I know what I like, but I'm not doing that. So I'm going to have to rectify that.
Yeah, and this is always the kind of the finding that happy medium here, because when I talk about texting, and as people see how valuable texting is, because a lot of people have started adopting it into their business, I don't want it to sound like that you need to just completely remove email and phone calls from the business, because those still serve a valuable purpose. As we were talking about earlier, you still have people who want to send emails. You still have people who may want to jump on the phone, say for plumbing. If there's an emergency service, somebody's going to want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So there are still instances like that, but yes, generally most people gravitate towards texting. And one of the other challenges or questions that I've had is live chat. So when I built the automated website chat into every chat, lots of chats there. When I built that in, the question was, should I build a live chat feature or an automated chat feature? And a lot of the comments that I have was, okay, if every chat's going to have a live chat feature, am I going to have to sit behind my computer all the time and watch for these messages, because they have that expectation that they're going to get a response in 30, 45 seconds. It's it's very fast. And that often becomes very difficult for the business, even if they have a customer service team, because you just have this inflow of messages all the time. And people have that expectation for a fast response. So that's a little bit of why I opted for the automated chat feature, because it reduces that need, that burden on the business owner. And worst case, if they need something fast, that chat feature can redirect them to text, so they can get at least that live chat experience. It's just not through that feature itself. They're now just texting with you. So that's just kind of the thought process that I've had there, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the right direction for the business? What's going to be the most effective for them? And one of the big thing that I noticed was, okay, if somebody's going to have to sit behind their computer all the time, is it going to be an effective feature for them? Now, live chat will come in the future at some point, but yeah, I think the big part that I'm trying to get here is, understanding your customer. What do they need? Texting, huge part of that. People want to text you nowadays. Email is still something people want to do, or may do here and there. But when it comes to residential, you're going to find that texting is going to be the thing that people use the most.
Yeah, I do agree that texting, but I still say because you made me think about my experiences, and I've definitely been on a chat where it's a automated chat, but somehow psychologically, I feel like you're going to answer me quicker when it's a chat than when it's going to my email, like when I did a contact us form and it's email. It just, that may be just my brain, but definitely texting is preferred if I'm trying to get information quickly and make a decision. But the funny thing is, and I don't know if this matters to anybody else but me, so excuse me if I'm boring people that are listening. But the funny thing to me is, like just with Tay a minute ago, I needed something, but I needed it on the computer. And so when she was going to text me a link, that doesn't really help me much, because that's going to be on my phone or my iPad, and I needed it on my computer. It needed it easy. And so a lot of times that's why I prefer like a chat, because if I need to take an action off of that chat, I want it on my computer. So I don't know. That may be just me, but I like thinking through that stuff to figure out, how I want to do it. And I guess it makes sense since we talk about people with me. I'm talking people psychology as far as, but I'm finding that may be true for business people like us, but I'm finding that when I scream and moan about like having to call or whatever, that's not the majority of my friends. In fact, they want to be able to call, and I'm like, that's crazy. But
yeah.
So anyway, now Riley, this isn't really under the people umbrella, but it is pretty pertinent right now. So there's been a lot of changes recently and I don't understand them, but you can explain it to the listeners on registering the phone number for texting. That's a huge thing right now. And all I know in my world is I keep going to developers and going, are we covered? Are we covered? Yes. And I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah. So explain that. What changed?
Yeah. So this big change is called there's a 3-letter, or there's a number in there, but it's called A2P compliance. So I believe it's application to phone, or application to person, whatever the P stands for. You get you basically get the same answer regardless. But what in a lot of times the conversation comes around Twilio, because a lot of us use Twilio for texting to enable texting in our business. But this isn't coming from Twilio. This is coming from phone carriers themselves. And the idea here is to cut down or to essentially eliminate scammers. People have, you may have seen this, an uptick in the amount of texts that you get. They're just total bogus. They're just texts, sometimes you may get a Craigslist scam, a Facebook scam, trying to get you to click on a link or give you give them some kind of information. So what these phone carriers are now doing is they've implemented this A2P compliance piece, where now any business who wants to send texts through, say, an application like EveryChat or a primary CRM, or say through QDS, they have to register their brand with these phone carriers, and they have to register campaigns. And basically a campaign is defined as the kind of text you will be sending. So they could define it as marketing. Sometimes they have a mixed campaign, which is usually, without getting too technical, the mixed campaign has some negatives to it, meaning it's not really meant for blast messaging, because what they have is called throughput. It's basically the amount of messages they can send every second. And I think the throughput on that is maybe 60 messages a second, which, if you're sending 500 messages, it's going to take a little while to get those messages out. And especially as you keep adding more recipients to it. So without getting too far off into the weeds, A2P is a way for phone carriers to identify what business is what and associate a business to the text messages they're sending. Now, us as software people, the challenge that we've been having is, how do you implement this into the business, into the software product, and not delay the time to start using the product? And this is a challenge that I'm going to be trying to tackle today and tomorrow, where with this essentially by the end of the month, no business can send any text messages unless they are they've registered their brand in compliance. Phone carriers will be blocking all of their texts if they aren't registered by the end of the month. So what's happening here is with EveryChat, and I'm just kind of giving you some insight into the challenges that I'm facing. So I'm being a little bit open here. Maybe some of this information you don't necessarily need. But one of the challenges that I'm facing is now the free trial in EveryChat is a little bit more restricted, where now you can't just go in and start texting and see how the software works. Now you have to go in, register a campaign. And because of how many people are trying to register a campaign at this point in time, those campaigns can take 3 to 4 weeks to be approved before you can start sending texts. So it's just a challenge that you have to deal with. And again, by the end of the month, which, for any business, if you're sending texts, this is something to look at if you haven't looked at it already. Because by the end of the month, August 31st, phone carriers will stop letting any texts go through unless you are registered. You've got your brand and campaign registered. So that's just kind of what's going on right now with the A2P stuff.
Yeah, it's, it is. It's just hard to know. And so many of us have started using texting for our business. I know there's somebody, and I don't know if you're familiar with this person, Riley, but there's somebody named Amber Jones that's pretty, like, she has really seemed to take the lead on educating people about this. And I'm assuming when you register like that, then, I'll know, I get numbers. I know we all get texts from some number, and you're like, I don't know who that is. And if there's a link in there, I'm not clicking that link because I don't know who that is. And so, I know Amber has really been educating people. And when you go and register the number, I'm assuming that it does say that, what the company name or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually haven't tested that, but hypothetically, yes, it would, because the phone carrier has all of that information. And one of the things I have noticed is some businesses do come through with their phone number. Like if a business tries to call me, for example, I just bought some stuff from Cabela's, under their phone number, it says Cabela's. So I could see some of that happening, which would actually be a benefit for us, because now they know who's texting you or who's texting.
Exactly.
Which would be great.
Right.
So yeah, I don't have an answer on that. I'm not totally sure, but somehow businesses have put their name in there that goes through with a text message or a phone call. So that could be what's going on. Maybe Amber knows, because
I was going to say, you and I need to get with Amber.
Yeah. I've seen some of her videos, and she knows what she's talking about on this.
She really
stuff.
does.
She's a great resource.
She really does. And I've seen her, Amber, we didn't know we were doing a commercial for you, but I have seen people go from, this arbitrary phone number to now it coming through exactly like you say, where it says, what the business name is. And they were talking about, like, just even following up on a sales inquiry, how much their close rate had improved, because I remember this from the cleaning service. We would, like, somebody would put in response a bid, they'd go and fill out the information. We would follow up almost immediately, but they wouldn't answer. But I'm sure it was because our number just showed up as the area code and the number. And so, just imagine if we answered within the minute and it said our company name, what our close rate would have, I'm sitting here thinking lots of lost dollars there, lots of lost dollars. But anyway, so if you haven't done it.
This is where you kind of get into text messaging strategy. And like you've described here, there in the beginning, it is so important to basically identify yourself in the text message. So whenever somebody fills out a form or they text you, if they text you first, they'll have some record to help them identify, okay, this is the company that I just texted. But if you're following up to a form request, always, basically identify, say, hey, this is Riley from Every Chat. Basically put that little piece in your text message so they know exactly who it's coming from, and that'll help you out a lot. Don't rely on them remembering, oh, hey, I filled out this form 2 hours ago. Now I got a text from it. People aren't really going to make that connection because they have stuff going on. You make sure you identify yourselves in those at least first few messages, so you can get the ball rolling, and people know who you are. They don't ignore it.
I think
Good stuff.
you and I, our developer, Amber, we have a powwow, but
Mhm.
that's another story.
Yeah. That would
But
be
yeah,
yeah.
I hopefully the listeners really are understanding the changes they need to make for it to be, for SMS marketing or even lead follow up to be effective. And like you said, really, we're all different. And whereas, I mean, we probably all have our preferred method of communication. And so that's the challenge as a business owner, that you just have to be prepared. And the more that you can automate it, at least to get the conversation going and hook them in fast, then the more likely you are to be able to close that sale or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I do have to mention, because I've seen kind of the behind the scenes with Every Chat, and I do have to mention, like, what I felt was different is the ability to tag, and it almost like, well, automation, but it's a funnel. You can create that funnel within Every Chat where you can tag them. And then, because I really do like that, when I first will be conversing with a company and they'll ask me, sales, customer service, whatever, and you make that selection. And then now, at least, even if it's automated, at least I feel like I'm going down the right channel.
Yeah.
Versus, especially if I can tell it's automated, if I feel like it's like open field, and that I'm not going to get my answers.
Yeah, and that's something I tried to do from day one is, if somebody texts a certain word or sends you a Facebook message with a certain word, it would trigger a custom automation. So you would basically build several different automations. One could be for quoting, one could be for customer service, another one could be for maybe hiring. And if they text a certain keyword, it would trigger the applicable automation. And once they finish that automation, you can have it assign a custom tag to that contact. So okay, how did they reach out to you? Now you basically have a contact list of organized, or a list of organized contacts. So you know which ones reached out to you about potentially scheduling a service, which one reached out to you about potentially booking a job interview, which one was a customer service request. So you can do that internal tagging of contacts. So later, if you ever wanted to send like a blast text message out, your contacts are organized, you have tags. So you can basically say, I want to text everybody who was a job applicant and follow up with them, and potentially get an interview scheduled. So those are things that you can do with the automation tagging built in there, to help you understand the intent of the person in your list.
Nice.
Great. So good.
All right. Well, Tay, you want to close us out with homework?
I will, absolutely. So Riley, the gist. We're going to do some homework right now. And if you're a new listener, we do ask that you only choose one piece of homework. This is the way that you make the podcast really make moves within your business. So we want you to really hold yourself accountable and put into action what you heard today. So we talked about a lot of different things, from lead generation to automations to systematizing with chats and AI and all these awesome things. So whatever kind of sparked your interest, just make sure to choose one that you want to move the needle forward. And maybe it's, it's the A2P information that Riley was talking about here at the end that needs to get done before the end of the month. Whatever it is, just choose one. And we do have an accountability group on Facebook. If you do need help with anything, you can always feel free to reach out there as well. But marketing wise, I want you to take a look at your website and see what level of friction you have right now. Do you have the ability for a client to send an email, send a text message, also give a phone call? Is it easy? Is it nice and accessible for them and not hard for them to find? put yourself in the client's shoes. Maybe have a family member do it for you. Have someone who is more like Martha, who wants to have the easy accessibility and not have to pick up the phone and call. See how easy it is for them to get in contact with you through your website. Have someone who is really focused on phone calls. Test out a few different people within your close-knit circle of family and friends and see that accessibility to you as a business. How can they get in contact with you and how easy is it? And that'll give you a kind of a better direction on how to remove some of that friction moving forward.
Good stuff. And your systems homework is to check out the A2P registration protocols. Twilio has a really good article on kind of tips and tricks and strategies on where to find how to register those phone numbers. So that's your homework for this week, systems homework.
Yeah, I was also going to say the A2P stuff. Sorry, Martha, I didn't mean to jump ahead of you there, but yeah, I'd say the A2P stuff as well.
I love it.
Well, it's funny. I thought about doing that as my homework as well, but I was banking on Michelle saying to check out every chat. So I'm going to say that.
Perfect.
And now every chat, is it everychat.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I managed to get a hold of that domain.
All right.
Hey, good job. Good job.
Okay. So that was my homework, Riley.
Yeah. It's still the A2P stuff. And, I guess one thing I can add on to that, if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure Amber would be happy to help as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about this A2P stuff. I know sometimes it can be confusing, so feel free to reach out if you need anything at all about it.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And I think, do we have a quote for today, Michelle?
We do have a quote for today. Riley, how do people get a hold of you other than the website? Is there somewhere else that they can grab you?
Yeah. So Facebook is a great way. Shoot me a Facebook message. That's a great way to do it. The website, you can also do that. But Facebook, without throwing out my phone number or an email right now, Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And yes, we do have a quote for the day, and I liked this one, and it is from Francois de la Roche, blah, blah, blah. I can't even pronounce it. There's a lot of consonants and vowels in this guy's last name. Clearly, he's French. And it says, to listen closely and reply well is the highest perfection we are able to attain in the art of conversation. And using these tools, Riley, like what you've created, AI, ChatGPT, all these things are going to help us listen well and reply well. So I'm really grateful for that. So,
well, sure.
Yeah. Stay on for a second, Riley. So I have to ask you.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thank you, Riley, for hanging out with us again. We love you. And we can't wait to see everybody at the huge convention in Nashville 1 week from today.
Yep.
Woo!
Have so much fun. Well, we'll see
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Go fight.
Keep fighting.